So recently I saw a build that excited me early on and then quickly disappointed me. Now, this build involves the Smite spells. Basically, what it is because you have the spell Green Flame Blade, and then you have Searing Smite. When you cast Green Flame Blade, and then you have Searing Smite, and you cast that, and then you can apply both on the same hit, like fire spell buffs, like the Draconic Sword or like the Alchemist Artificer and things like that, would apply twice, right? So essentially, if you have like max mod on both, you can do 10 for each, so it's going to be extra 20 damage on a hit with that. What I quickly discovered, unfortunately, was this is not optimized because you're spending your bonus action every turn because we're already going 6 into Draconic Sork, you could just quicken instead. Now, this is tricky. Well, what options do we have? Okay. So, we're going to start with ASMR. I'm not completely sure which version is official. I'll just do sort of have the numbers for both, just in case. Because having the second one, it's easier to compare our other builds to, because we've been doing the 20 damage ASMR with, but we can always just alter those. So it's not a huge deal, but that's just keep that in mind. So what we'll need for this is obviously we'll need high charisma, which we want to get to 20. So we'll start with 17, 15 plus 2 bonus. And then we're going to have decent intelligence. And then you'll need decent stuff for the rest. It depends on the build. Honestly, fortunately, charisma and intelligence are all you need in this build, no matter how you do it, which is really nice. You probably just want decent constitution and then maybe adequate wisdom, depending on the build. But otherwise, you really only need to worry about 2 stats, which for our crazy multi-class is not that bad. So there you go. How can we mitigate this problem? Now, Searing Smite is a self-spell. What this means is that while self-spells are limited because we can be the only ones who cast it, it's the same reason that it only works for this one particular other effect. Now, with Fine Steed, if we cast a spell on ourselves, then our steed also gets the benefit. So what we can so that we eventually share spells with it, so it goes both ways. So what we can do here is, if we can find a way to give our steed a way to cast Searing Smite, then we don't have to spend our bonus action. Now, how can we do this? This is a bit tricky, but the answer is in a recent discovery in one of our builds, Artificer. So we're going to start Artificer. First ever Artificers don't get much. It's just the magical tinkering ability, which gives us the recording device, the light, the sensory effects, and all that. It's basically like like a mechanical prestidigitation. And we also get spellcasting. In terms of spells, we'll want to pick up Green Flame Layout, of course. And then there isn't too much other spells we need to really look into for Artificer, for this build at least. Second level Artificers, we get infusions. You get your basic +1 weapons and +1 new attack for focuses, but we're not going to worry about that. Well, +1 weapon is nice, but what's going to be better for us is the Spell Rot Tattoo. Now, we mentioned this before. It specifically says you can't use scrolls or potions, but it doesn't rule out all consumables one of which is spell Ratatouille's. So we can have a first level spell Ratatouille, which can be any spell, and we can have anyone else cast it, and we can just choose Searing Smite. So we get 4 infusions, and we can kind of choose 2 at a time. So right now we can get 3 turns worth, because prep, you can bonus action to have that up, and then on successive turns you can do it each one time. And then so 3rd level Artificer, we get our subclass, we're going to go into Alchemist. Now at 3rd level Alchemist, we just get our Alchemist spells and our sort of potion, which isn't going to really help us much. We can spend a slot to get the specific potion we want, but none of them really help us in terms of damage. 4th level, we get an ASI. We're going to want to grab Great Weapon Master here, because using Great Weapon is going to help us a lot, since essentially that plus 10 is just huge. Now 5th level, we finally get our subclass ability that was going to help us with damage. Now it's essentially, if we cast something through our focus, which can be Alchemist Tools, and we can deal an extra 5 fire damage. This is debatable whether this works, because is it being cast through our focus? Not really. So now the great thing about going Artificer is we just literally go 1 more and we get 3 spell Ratatouilles we can use. So it's going to be 4 attacks in a round, since rounds are 3 to 5. And then because how much damage we're doing, it's probably going to be, max 4. We're going to have to be able to do that every time. But it is very much, I'm not entirely sure if this really works. So we're going to do the numbers, and then, but there's other builds. Well, now we need Find Steed. So how are we going to get that? Well, we'll need to go into Paladin, since literally the only way to get it, as a spell on your list, is through Paladin. So we go first level on the Paladin. We're going to get some nice proficiencies. We might even want to do this first just to get proficiencies earlier. But it's going to be nice to have that. And then we get a 2nd level. We get Spellcast. We get a Fighting Style. We have Smite. We get all that good stuff. Great Weapon Fighting. Nothing really helps us huge here. And we also lay in our hands. But these are all just abilities that are nice to have. We love Paladins, but it's not going to help us damage. 3rd level, we get our subclass. We're going to go into Oathbreaker. We get Channel Divinities that are great. They're really flavorful and cool, but they're not going to help us with damage. Oathbreakers also have pretty great spells as their subclass spells. Not useful for us right now. 4th level, we're getting another ASI, Gift of Chromatic Dragon. That D4 damage is not huge, but it's nice. I would say the question is, I might even just boost your charisma, because it's it's kind of tricky what to do here. But we're based off of the build, we might only have 1 more ASI, and we're gonna need to make that 20. So Gift of Chromatic Dragon is nice, but it's not a priority. 5th, we get Find Steed at this point. So now we can do all that. We can cast self spell on our steed, and we can start dealing damage. So that's going to be our Our steed, we're going to choose elk, because elks deal the most damage, since they deal 2d6 plus 3, but charging you can deal an extra d6, so it's going to be 3d6 plus 3, which is pretty dang nice. And so then that's going to be, oh, the thing is, we have our concentration available to us because it's only a steed that's concentrating on Searing Smite. So, well, what options do we have? We only have second level spells, but we're 11 half caster, which means that we have third level slots. There's not a lot of great options here. We have extra attack. I'd go like we can't use our spell rods, so I would just go like, I would go either like divine favor for that extra d4. Honestly, if I mentioned this before, if there's 2 enemies, it's always better just to do Tasha's Cosmic Brew, because that's going to be, you can upcast that at 3rd level, which is going to be 64, and then against 2 enemies, that's going to be 30 damage. So then we have 30 damage, and we attack twice because we have extra attack now. So it's going to be, and we can but if we want to green flame blade, it's only going to be 1. But it's not optimal to do green flame blade at this point. So essentially, or is it? So the thing is, we don't have sorcerer, so we're only getting 1 source, but it's double. So let's think about our 2 options, right? One is to not use green flame blade and just have 1 attack with scorching, right? So that would be 2 attacks, which is going to be a d10 plus 5 plus 10. Wait, shoot. Sorry. We need a 3rd stat, which is to be good at, which is obviously strength, because we're using a great weapon. Oh gosh, this is a bit rough multi-class, isn't it? So yeah, we're gonna probably just have max plus 3 for strength, and then plus 10 for great weapon master, and then plus 4 from gift, and then that's gonna be twice, and then we have d6 from searing plus 3 from artificer on one of them. So it's fine. And then it's even less because only 1 attack because we are 11 level, it's going to be 2d8 for green flame blade added onto that, which is going to make it up to not as much damage as our first one. So it's a bit rough. Now we're going to go 1 Hexblade. This is going to help damage a lot. Just having Hexblade's curse up is just going to be efficiency more damage, which at this point is plus 4. But it's made plus 5 next level because we're going to go 13, and then we're going to go the rest into Sorcerer. We're going to choose Quicken, and I would say just the reroll one. Empowered spell for our other option. But we're mostly just going to be quickening Green Flame Blade. So that's the thing too, is we're so pressed on ASIs because we're going to really want to have Metamatic Adept, because then we can do it more than 3 times. But we're only getting like 3 to 4 rounds of that anyways with spell rot tattoos. But what's nice is we get to add our charisma modifier, which is only gonna be like plus 3 or something too, to both Scorching and Green Flame Blade. the multi-class really hurts on this, but because we finally got into 3rd level spells with Sorcerer, we can grab Haste. If it's not a Sorcerer spell, we can get it from just using like Rakdos, or like one of the two of the Strixhaven backgrounds also have spells we're looking for haste, so it's not really an issue. But at this point, which means we can make 2 attacks, and then one of those can be Green Flame Bladed, right? So there's 2 options, one where we're just extra attacking, and then haste, and then Green Flame Blading and during the bonus action. The other one is just doing a single Green Flame Blade attack, a haste attack, and a bonus action attack. Now remember, an Ace of Mars is going to be 20 more damage, and remember that's going to be a d6 on successive turns, so we're just say that there's going to be a d6 added on to our damage as a whole, and then there's the elk damage also, which now this isn't as high. It isn't this high because all our stats aren't going to be plus. If they were, it would be in like the 215 range, but we're looking more over 200. But we can get slightly higher, closer to 220, if we don't Green Flame Blade and we just make another attack. So this is an adequate success, but it has just a lot of problems. We're using 3 stats for damage. We are, it's debatable if we can even do this because the tattoo isn't casting through the focus, and we're pressed on ASI so much. And we're losing extra attack. There's a lot of problems with this build. So what I suggest is Blade Singer, because this allows us to make a Green Flame Blade attack and also extra attack. So we're going to have to go 5 in Paladin, which hurts because there's no way to add damage with that. So it's 6 Blade Singer, 5 Paladin, 6 Sorcerer. That's going to put us already at 17, and then we go 1 Hexblade, that's 18, so we only have 2 left, but we only really need 2 in Artificer, because 1, like, okay, yes, 1 less tattoo hurts a lot, but we're not adding damage on because we're not casting the spell through a focus. So essentially, we're only going to get like 10 from Sorcerer, but it's better than just. I mean, it's less true to what this build wants to do, but it's sort of hard to go other ways on it. So what this means is essentially, because we're wizard and we're sorcerer and we have half caster levels in there, our total spell level is 15, which means we can get up to 8th level spells, which means we can get 7th level shroud for 3d8 damage, because we're not concentrating on anything. Everything else is the same, except it's a lot easier because we only have to get 2 scores up there, right? Strength, and then charisma, because sorcerers, and that's not even hugely important because it's only 1 source. So then we're dealing we're making, well, there's 2 options here. One is to make 3 attacks, extra attack with cantrip, and bonus action. Other option is to use haste instead of shroud, which in that case is 4 attacks, but we're dealing less attack damage on each, right? So otherwise it's going to be a d10 plus 5 plus 10 plus 6 from Hexblade's Curse plus 3d8 from Shroud plus 3d8 on 2 of the attacks from Green Blade, d6 on 1 of them, but it's kind of a d6 on 2 because every successive turn is going to get more damage, and then 15 in total from Sorcerer because we have 2 of them are Green Flated, and then we also get the Scorching Ray, right? So Scorching Smite, Searing Smite, and then the other option, then we have, 20 damage from ASMR. And then Steed, because we're starting spells, it adds on the 3d 8 damage, right? And then, but another option, Steed gets attacked twice, so it's kind of like the same amount of damage. And then the other option, we're doing 4 attacks, where we're just not adding on the 3d8. Now, it's not a huge detriment, actually, because, like, we're not having the green twin blade stuff in that on the hasted attack, but it still comes out to very close. If we shroud, it's 209 damage, and if it haste instead of shroud, it's 212. Now this is very interesting because, like, if we could fit in, if we had like perfect stats starting, like if we had like all 20s we started, we could get 223 with our first build. And so, like, to see that, like, if this is what you can get, it's not close enough, right? So the thing is, like, you'd have to go 6 lore is the only other way to get Steed, which isn't going to help us in damage either. My point, essentially, as a conclusion, is, I really love this build, and I really want it to work, but it's not hugely practical. And one, it's very debatable because we're casting not from ourselves, but from the Steed. We are having to really stretch our multi-classes here, and, like, this is one of the things that, like, I would play this just because it's cool, as a multi-class, because it's cool to see, like, 1 damage deal a lot consistently, right? So it's like this weird in-between Nova and DPR build where it just does both adequately, but it's like nice to have high numbers, which is like one of the reasons I like playing Rogue, is because you just get to see high numbers and it's great. But so that's the build. I hope you found this useful, and I'd say even though it's like fine in terms of optimization, I really like it, and I would just say this is a cool thing just to use and just say it exists to impress your friends. So yeah, this is Sean from Dodeca Dungeon, signing off. Now, this build is very interesting, because I've really wanted to make a DPR build involving sidekicks, because it seems like a very interesting concept to me, and because you get to work with so many different stat blocks as an option for sidekick, the options are potentially very interesting. Now, there's nothing that technically is against multi-classing with the sidekick builds, so we're gonna have a bit of fun here. So we're going to quickly go over some of the most interesting build options for this. One is the Dolgrim. The Dolgrim gets 3 attacks, which at the CR that we have as an options available to us, which I believe is 1/4 or lower. You don't often get 3 attacks, and the more attacks we can deal, the more, like, the bonuses we have static can just reapply, so we really won't like that. So that's good. But then we have the Needle Spawn, which does a D6 attacks, which on average is going to be 3.5, which is higher than the Dolgrim. So we're gonna look at that. There's the Darkling / Death's Head, which deals an additional 2d6 damage on hit, which is, the thing about this is it's fine. The issue is, like, we want something ideally with a weapon that we can apply more bonuses, because we do get feats as an option. So it's an option. Then there is the gnome squidling. Oh my gosh, this is fun. It has some problems. It has a lot of problems, actually, but it's fun, and I'm going to show you why in a second. Giant wasp, 3d6 poison on fail save, so, you know, a little better than potentially better than the 2d6 on hit. Piercer, oh my gosh, this is so fun. So its attack is it drops, and for each 10 feet, it deals an extra d6 damage, right? So you're essentially, you're potentially dealing 66 damage per drop, and it's literally just as many times as we can drop and how much we can like abuse movement, which is going to be fun. Pixies get spells in their arsenal, which is interesting. We'll talk about that. Then there's the hobgoblin. They get to apply extra damage on one of their hits, and then they have like basically any weapon they can use for their attacks, which is good for what we want to do. And then there's the Cobalt Inventor. They have a bunch of crazy options, and we're going to talk about kind of how these can be sort of abused. And then the Shifter, which they can attack as a bonus action. Now first, let's just get out of the way. Pixie Dinosaur, right? You don't even need to look at the sidekick stats to do this, because Polymorph doesn't incorporate anything in this, right? So for one attack is 4d12 plus 7, and then another is 3d8 plus 7, which is 54 damage total. So that is the number to beat. Can we do better than a creature that adds on nothing at all, right? So that is going to be our challenge. Now let's look at the Needle Spawn. For this, we're just going to go 20 levels into the caster option, because at this point we can get up to 5th level spells because of the full caster for the sidekick is a half caster. And we can choose a number of different classes, so we can just choose like wizard or cleric and get shroud. Needle Spawn, so the needle attack is ranged, so sharpshooter, and then you can add on something like gunner to do within 5 feet, and we're dealing d6 attacks is going to be 3.5 attacks on average, so we're going to just multiply the whole thing by 3.5, so d6 plus 5, because, okay, even if we don't start with that, we're going to have stats to boost it, right? So eventually we can boost up our stats plus 5 as a bonus. We have Sharpshooter, which is going to be plus 10. And then we have 2d8 from Shroud, which, because we're making 3.5 attacks, it's going to be 96 damage total, which is really nice. That's almost twice as much as the T-Rex. So it proves we can get pretty high. A lot lower than our normal builds, but hey, it's sidekick. It's a bit limited. This next one gets crazy. Piercer. Oh, gosh, I spent a long time trying to theorycraft this. Now, you have to go 6 into fighter to get the extra attack, the warrior sidekick one, right? So to get the extra attack feature. So we'll need that to make more than 1 attacks as a piercer. Now, remember, so jump distance is 3 plus your modifier, which we can boost to 5. It's just going to be 8. If we go and start going to spellcaster, we can get the jump spell, which is going to boost our jump to 24 feet. Now, because we're also spellcaster and we're not using bonus action, we can Misty Step up. So it's going to be 24 plus 30 from bonus action Misty, which is 54, so we can get that high. We're going to drop, so it's going to be per 10 feet, so it's going to be 54. It's going to be 50, so it's going to be 5d6, and then plus 10 long strider to get running start from haste. So that's going to be, so now we're going to have 3 attacks from that. So essentially the next time we jump, we can get 20 up, because we're just using our jump distance, right? And then, so we're just going to follow 2d6 and then plus 5. And then 2d6 again from our haste action, which is just going to be 47. But the thing is, this doesn't really work because even with haste and long strider, our movement speed is a basis plus is just 5. So we actually don't have enough movement to jump this much. So if we go 2 into the expert, which is like a rogue support subclass, we get, for sidekick, we get 2 dashes bonus. So, and then we can go 6 into fighter, 2 into expert, and then 12 into our caster. We're going to lose Misty Step because we're going to use our bonus to dash, obviously. But we're going to have 45 feet of movement. But if we instead we go 6 fighter and 14 spellcaster, we can get 4th level echelon stride, but it's still 45 feet. Unless we dash as a bonus, which no, we can't do because we want 4th level spells. But what if we cast fly? We move 60 feet and then 30 feet from Misty Step. So it's going to be first, it's going to be 66 plus 5 damage for the first stack. And then for the second, it's just going to be 3d6 plus 5. So it's 42, which is solid. Or we can use our bonus action to dash and then just fly 120 feet and deal 6 plus 5 plus 66 plus 5 for 52 damage. Mobile long strider athlete, 25 feet, haste 50 feet, climb, leap 30 feet, jump 3 times, dash. Final option here, we take the mobile feet, we take long strider, so and we take athlete, so we're gonna have 25 feet as a base. We take haste, it's 50 feet. We climb onto our enemy. We leap up 30 feet. We do this 3 times. We dash. Hold on. Dash as our haste action, and we have the charger feat, so we can make an attack as our bonus action with additional damage. And because we dashed twice, because we dashed without losing our bonus action, we have, that's 50 feet, remember, from haste, so now it's 100 feet, and now we have 100 feet, so it's going to be enough to do our jumps, and that's going to be plus 5 damage for the charger, so it's going to be 3d6 plus 10, and then the second attack is going to be 3d6 plus 5, and then the final bonus is, so we have 2 attacks as our action, then the haste action is going to be the dash, and then we get the bonus, it's going to be 3d6 plus 5 again, which is 52 damage. Now, this is just as good as the T-Rex, but it's a lot funner. This build is absurd, but it's great. Now, there's another really absurd build, but I just kind of took a lot of liberties on it, so bear with me here. So, Kobold Inventor, 6 Warrior, 14 Caster. So, this, because we're 14, we're 13 half cast, right? So we get 4th level spells, which means if there's 2 enemies, we can cast Tasha's Caustic Brew and deal 8d4 per target, which is going to be an average of 40 damage for 2 enemies. Now the thing is, pretty much half the Kobold Inventors summon swarms, which deal 46 damage, right? So we're spending one of our attacks each turn summoning swarm, and each turn there's a 50% chance of them disappearing, right? So it's essentially like, we're just gonna say like one of our attacks is gonna be dealing the 46, right? And our normal other attack in the turn is just because we have extra attack now, is just a D 6 plus 5 and then plus 10 because we get on and then we can take crossbow expert. So because it just says weapon attack for the kobold, we can basically use any weapon, so we can get crossbow expert on them and sharpshooter, so we can make an attack. And again, with a hand crossbow as a bonus, so it's going to be a d6 plus 5 plus 10 from sharpshooter, and then we can do gift of chromatic, so it's going to be a d4 more, and then we do that twice. So all this together is going to be 96 damage, which again is basically where we're at with our needle spawn, which is really nice. So now we go to the giant wasp. Now, so what we're gonna do here is there's not a ton that can help us with spellcaster, because we're not making that many attacks. So what I would do here is 6 warrior for extra attack, 8 expert, and then 6 spellcaster. Now what this is gonna do is our base attack is going to be 6 plus 5 plus 3d6 points. We make this attack twice. Now, as an expert, we get this fun little ability where we can, if we help as a bonus, we get to deal extra damage, and then so it reads coordinated strike. Whenever we use our helpful feature, which is essentially we get this first level, we can take the helpless action as a bonus action. Whenever we use this feature to aid an allies attacking, we can deal an extra 2d6 the next time we hit an attack before the end of the next turn. So it's like a mini sneak attack. So that's where the extra damage comes from. And then remember, we are 6th level spellcaster, so we're gonna have half, so it's half caster, so a 5th level you get 2nd level spells, so it's going to be against 2 targets with 40 for each. Is with Tasha, it's going to be 20 extra damage, or so 65 damage, or if the enemy succeeds on their poison, it's only 55. If we instead do 6 warrior and 14 spellcaster and we use haste instead, that's going to be 57 damage on failure, or 40 on success, which is not as much. Now, the gnome squid thing, this one's fun. So we're going to take 6 extra attack, so we get to deal 2 attacks. Now, essentially, okay, so with the gnome squid thing, they have a terrible to hit bonus, and their DC on the normal effect is 7. I don't know if it's like, it should technically improve as we improve our ability scores, but if it doesn't, let's say we have to find another way to incapacitate them, because their effect that deals a lot of damage comes from incapacitating. So let's say their concentration is used up doing that, whether it be like through what's that, it's either like haste, or I think there's a few other effects that do that. Sorry, not haste. So spells like hold person or whatever, we're going to spend it on, well, that would crit, so we can't afford to do that, but we're using our concentration to do that, incapacitate them. So we're doing 2 damage. I mean, we're attacking twice, so we're going to have to go into spellcaster for the rest. And then we are attacking twice, and against the incapacitated target, we deal 5 d8 plus our mod, so it's going to be 5d8 plus 5 for both, which is 76 damage total for both. Now, considering that we're not using spells to offer damage, and this is wonky because of how it works, but that's like some nice solid damage there. But it is a win more effect. Now, there is the Jukuli. This is just essentially they deal extra damage if they jump when they attack. So it's going to be 2d6 as base plus 5, and then plus 2d6 from the springing. And then since if we go 3 into, if we go, they already make 2 attacks, so then we can just haste them by going 12 in spellcaster and then deal 2d6, and then, well, 8 into warrior, so we can get 2 attack space, because I actually believe that we need that. So, but it only comes out at 57 damage, so it's not what we want. So essentially, what does that leave us with? Well, there is the shifter, which they get to make a bite attack as a bonus. And their bite attack is just D4 plus their mod. But we're going to go full spellcaster. Now, what we can do is we can go Warlock. Now, Warlock is an option here. So what we can do is we can grab Shroud, we can get Eldritch Blast, and while we can't get like Agonizing Blast or anything, we deal a D10 plus 2d6 Shroud, we attack 4 times, and then spellcasters, they get this ability where potent cantrips, it adds its spellcasting modifier to the damage it deals with any cantrip. So it's going to be another 5 damage, and then we make a bite attack as a bonus, so it's a d4 plus 5 plus 2d8, which is 80 damage. This is solid. It's surprising. It's surprisingly low, considering like some of the best builds we made on, you know. But the things we can't really get bonus action spells, so it's a lot more limiting. It's still very nice. Now, though, the most ones are just the humanoid ones that we can do any sort of any weapon with. So Hobgoblin is one. So it deals 2d6 damage on attacks from martial weapons using a weapon, and they're a humanoid, so they have all weapon proficiencies from the warrior effect. So we're going to go 8 warrior and 12 spellcaster. This is split for optimal ASIs. So we're going to take haste, we're going to take Great Weapon Master, we're going to take Chromatic, we're going to take Polar Arms, we get a bonus action, so we're going to make 2 normal attacks, then a haste attack, and then a bonus action, which is d4. So it's going to be 1d10, and then except for the d4, which is the bonus, plus 5, plus 10 from Great Weapon Master, plus 2d6 on each of them, because Hobgoblin, plus d4 plus Chromatic times 4, which is 117 damage, which isn't bad. Like, I think on our like comparisons between the average base classes that subclasses don't add anything to them, like with the Ranger, I think like 120 is our average. So we got that high with this, which is nice. And then it's very similar with the Dolgrim. So in this one we go 20 spellcaster, and they make 3 attacks from their own multi-attack, so we don't need to like go anything else and do that. We can take Crossbow Expert, for 20 spellcasters, we do Spirit Shroud, Griffin Chromatic, and then Sharpshooter. So it's going to be we're making 4 attacks because the Crossbow Expert does bonus, so it's a d6 plus 5 plus 10 plus d4 from Chromatic plus 2d8, which is 120 total. So there you there you have it. I'd say probably the most discouraging thing in these builds is that the more we build it just like a normal class, the better it is. I was really hoping like we could get the Piercer to something really broken, and we got close there. Honestly, I'm very happy with the results, just because this is like, it's very kind of breath of fresh air in terms of just customization and sort of the options you have with these builds. I personally found this very very sort of interesting, and I think, well, you know, you don't always get the sidekicks in your D&D games. If you do, look for Hobgoblins, look for Piercers, look for Dolgrims, look for Needle Spawns, and you're gonna have a good time. So this is Sean from Deck Dungeon, signing off.